Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us. Thanks so much for spending part of your night, your evening, your morning, whenever you're joining us with us. We truly and always greatly appreciate it. Truth, justice, and the American way is maybe starting to peek through at the forefront in some of these agencies. Yesterday evening, a departure from the New York Southern District Office, the office that was responsible for Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, the office that was just recently responsible for blowing the Diddy case. They lost somebody. Comey was the last name. Maureen's the first name. Yes, Maureen Comey. James Comey, former FBI director, disgraced former FBI director's daughter, finally fired. What took them this long is my question. From that field office, long overdue. She was not only involved in the P. Diddy case, as I said, but also involved in the Epstein case and the Ghislaine Maxwell cases. As I said, Diddy case was blown, found guilty on no child trafficking or charges, two nonsensical charges, which he may be able to get thrown out on an appeal. His lawyers are fairly confident that they will. Maureen Comey was also part of the DOJ's team that claimed they lost the video from the Epstein cell the night that he discovered that he was, I almost said died, but murdered. And then discovery that the DOJ found the video somehow laying around, not really sure where it went. But she's not the only Comey who was working at the Department of Justice. Jim Comey's son-in-law, Tony Edwards, was a prosecutor on the Oath Keepers January 6th trial. This is where Biden's corrupt DOJ claimed, based on bogus evidence, that the Oath Keepers intended to commit an insurrection on January 6th. He's still there. Why? What took so long to get Maureen Comey, and what is his son-in-law still doing there? It's a question I think a lot of us are owed an answer amid everything that's going on inside this country, inside the justice system right now. Now, the good news is the Democrats are not doing well. And when the Democrats aren't doing well, it means America's doing well, because they stand against everything that us great Americans stand for. Recent polling found that Democrat leadership continues to struggle to gain approval of the American people as they're weaning away from the party. A Quinnipiac poll just out today showed a mere 19% of voters approve of how the Democrats are doing in Congress and how they're handling Congress. 72% disapprove. I don't even think that's surprising, and I'm surprised the numbers are that high for the Democrats. Today, in a confirmation hearing or procedural to the confirmational hearing for Emil Bovee, who President Trump has appointed to the appeals court, the Democrats staged a 5-minute walkout, doing a whole charade orchestrated. People see right through it. They think they are absolutely stupid and embarrassing. Now, while they were doing that, the Senate passed a $9 billion cut package to global aid and public broadcasting. Imagine that. We're finally getting some of those DOJ cuts that we've been promised, that we all long waited for, that Elon Musk started. And then, to all his faults, saving any dollar in the federal government is a big task. So we appreciate him for that. We don't appreciate his shortcomings, but certainly did, I think, a decent job as it pertained to his work for DOJ. I wish they would have gotten more done, but nonetheless, the Senate finally deciding that they're going to go ahead and vote. Now we just need to codify some of President Trump's executive orders that they've failed to do. Mike Johnson says he's on to that. We'll see how that works out. So as you've got rogue Democrats who are just drop dead dumb, you also have some Republicans, or as we like to call them on the show, rhinos. Who's the rhino today who's doing something dumb? Yeah, that's a question I ask myself every day. Today it's Congresswoman Maria Salazar of Florida, proposing the Dignity Act, which is mass amnesty for illegal aliens. She says, so yes, they broke the law, but someone gave them a job and they need workers. So she's coming forward now with this work deal. Now, this is the text of the bill. The bill would give a 7-year legal status, which can be renewed to illegal aliens, and grants, quote, legal status and a pathway to permanent residency to so-called dreamers. She says over 10 million people or more illegal aliens with benefits, while repeating the Democrat talking point, We will not have food by this Friday without them. This is the Republican Party. Now, she says in return for paying an average $1,000 per year, which is almost nothing, not taking advantage of Medicaid or Medicare, and contributing 1% of their salary to the United States treasuries, illegals would never be deported. Total nonsense. Now, Article 3 Project did a breakdown of what Ms. Salazar has proposed, and this is what they say it is. The basic way of understanding Maria Salazar's amnesty bill is this. If you came to this country before Biden was inaugurated, you get to stay. If you were under 18 when you came to this country for whatever reason, you get a 4-year path to citizenship. If you were over 18, you get to effective permanent residency with no path to citizenship, and you don't have to pay payroll taxes. The only deportable illegal aliens will be criminal aliens and aliens that came under Biden. Everyone else gets to stay. You were told that dreamer status was those, unfortunately, brought to this country as young children. That's not the case. She essentially wants everyone to stay, which means Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man who's been deported, who's now back in America, who's getting ready to be deported again, and all the other criminal illegals who've come into this country. It's people like Maria Salazar, Congresswoman, who will kill the Republican Party effectively. Any sort of amnesty that is proposed for illegals who came into this country, who broke the law, will effectively kill the Republican Party. And I think Donald Trump is smarter than that. But just the fact that we have these numbskulls on the right, even trying to push something forward. We're a nation with tens of trillions of dollars in debt. We're a nation where people can't get jobs. We're a nation that have homeless people, homeless veterans like no other country. We're a nation with a drug epidemic like no other country. And Congresswoman Maria Salazar just wants to bring in 20, 30, allow 20, 30 illegals to stay in this country. What about the American people, Congresswoman? What about those homeless veterans? What about those veterans that come back from war with PTSD like no other and never recover for it, and we kick them to the curb? Why don't you try doing something for them first? And I don't mean first. Amnesty is off the table. I don't think there'll ever be a day where we get that out of Donald Trump or this administration, not as long as Stephen Miller is alive. The simple way to put it, they came into this country illegally. They broke the law getting here. That's it. We don't put up with criminals in America who are citizens here, but you're telling me we're going to put up with criminals from a different country who don't even belong here, who are not American? Make that make sense. Make that make sense to everyone who's sitting in jail who's a criminal, who's an American citizen. Make that make sense, please, because it makes no sense. But that's what these rhinos want. Apparently, there's 9 rhinos who are in favor of this bill and some Democrats. So that tells you all you need to know if you're getting a Democrat to sign onto some sort of immigration bill. Folks, we're going to be joined in just a few moments by my good friend Garrett Ziegler. He's the founder and CEO of Marco Polo 501c3. That's the infamous organization who's been sued multiple times for putting out this masterpiece, the report on the Biden laptop. Garrett's got a new project he's working on, and I think it's going to entice a lot of you for everything that's going on right now inside this country, everything that's going inside the Republican Party, and everything that went along with Joe Biden and his corrupt family. We're going to take all of that up and so much more in today's episode. We're going to take a quick break here, but the Great America Show continues in just one moment. Please stay with us.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupted this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillow is only $14.98. Queens, $18.98. King size, only $1 more. Body pillows, $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our spring percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. any size, any color. So go to mypillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Garrett, as always, my friend, it's great to see you. It's great to talk to you. I hope you're having a good summer. I want to start with first, you've got some big news. We're going to save that and make the audience wait a little bit because it's a big discussion, and we're going to take it up into deep depth. I want to go first into what's happening right now inside the country, the Republican Party. Seemed just a few weeks ago, everything was going so well. We had the Elon blow up, and then everything went, quiet. We had the big, beautiful bill passed, and now we're back in another lull. What's going on in America right now?
Well, going back to 2015, one thing that Trump's diehard supporters loved about him is that he went directly to them. One of the things they love about Twitter is that they don't have to read his statements through an intermediary.
Yes.
So even though he didn't respond to tweets very often, especially not now, he did it in 2015 sometimes. He'd do the quote tweeting feature, or Dan Scavino would. They liked that they got it right from the source. The genesis of this discontent started out when somebody, a friendly or an enemy within the DOJ or the FBI, leaked this to Axios, a left-wing hit piece mill. That was triggering event number one. So I'm going back chronologically. To give it to Axios and to not even put it on the DOJ website first was an insult to our intelligence. Whoever did that, if they're a friend, they need to be fired. If they're an enemy, they need to be prosecuted.
You're referring to the memo about
the 2-page press release.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's incredible is the DOJ is calling it a memo, and yet there's no to. If I were to write a memo to you, it'd be from Garrett to John, July 17th, right? So it wasn't even a memo. It was just this press release that was undated. They didn't even have the testicular fortitude to sign their name to it.
Exactly.
So that's triggering event number 2. Triggering event number 1, leak it to left-wing rag Axios.
Real quick, this is what Garrett is referring to. I had to roll through hundreds and hundreds of papers. No signature on the bottom, no names on the top, nothing. And it just so happens to be, Garrett, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But it was sitting on top of this book right here with an inscription inside. John, thank you for your dedication to keeping America on the right path. So
I agree with that. The dedication's correct. But hey, he signed his name there.
Why don't go on? I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
Why don't we get Kashyap Patel for the press release? We don't even get one of those. Those hashtags. Those 3 hashtags are at the bottom of normal press releases. Yes. We didn't even get one of those. They could have threw us a bone and put 3 of those on the paper. So there's 2 triggering events right there. It gets leaked to Axios. It's undated. It's unsigned. The third triggering event for me, not the public, but for me, is that they included within that press release a phrase called civil liberties experts that got to comb through the Epstein material. They say civil liberties experts got to go through this material. Well, based on every definition that I could think of, I'm a civil liberties expert. This is an expertise on civil liberties. So whoever they picked, John, wasn't on our side because lovely. Love that. Whoever they picked wasn't on our side because they said they didn't find anything. They didn't even say they sent new subpoenas. They say we looked through the materials, but we didn't actually do an investigation. That's the press release says, we didn't even impanel a grand jury. If they were wanting to do a sophisticated limited hangout, meaning pretend like you're doing something and nothing at all, which is what most special prosecutors are, they would have at least impaneled a grand jury and said, hey, we put this in front of 12 Americans. They said that nothing's within the statute of limitations. Epstein's dead, and we have to close the case. That's what if they respected our intelligence, that's what would have occurred. But the base right now, defined broadly by base, I'm defining it as about 70 million Americans. Now, 80 million plus voted for Trump, but I'm just going to posit and stipulate that about 10 to 15 million of those are independents who held their nose and hated Kamala and hated how the country was going, right?
Yeah,
Let's be fair, be conservative and say that Trump's base is 70 million strong. 60 million of those people feel disrespected, and they feel disrespected because they feel that the government, their executive branch, and the federal system didn't owe them a press conference on this, didn't owe them a new grand jury impanelment, didn't owe them a explanation of why no new subpoenas were sent. And they weren't told which civil liberties experts were selected to go through the material. Hey, I can keep an NDA. I'm still under an NDA in Hunter Biden's child support case, right? Because I respect the law. I wouldn't respect an illegal NDA, but when you're dealing with a 5-year-old and there are privacy things at stake, I follow the law. So this idea that they couldn't have given it to anybody on the right, that the Epstein materials couldn't possibly have been gone through by somebody who likes Donald Trump is preposterous. I could have kept an NDA. They're either lying and there were no civil liberties experts, or it's even worse than the lie, and they gave it to like Bellingcat or some left-wing, virulently anti-Trump nonprofit to go through all the sexual abuse and everything else. And again, I'm trying to give the country, based on your question, I'm trying to give a fulsome answer to explain where we are right now. No one on the right that I have seen online or in real life has called for the release of child sexual abuse material. Yeah. Not one. What we are interested in are the adult males and some females, although it's principally a male enterprise, and that enterprise is criminal and disgusting. Those adult males who procured said underage or legally aged women. Sex trafficking can occur with Diddy too, with 19-year-olds. That's what Hunter Biden did.
Yeah.
A lot of people who we affectionately call Q-tards were mad at our report because they said there is no evidence that Hunter Biden's, in our book, we lay out what's in the laptop. There's no evidence that Hunter Biden sexually trafficked 14-year-olds. There is evidence that he sexually trafficked 19-year-olds, and a lot of it. And there is evidence that his own sister-in-law accused him of being sexually inappropriate with his 14-year-old niece. So we just accurately reflected what's on the laptop. And some people are so far in the gutter of the internet that they can't separate. They believe what they believe, and no amount of primary source evidence can convince them otherwise. That's why, going back to our book, which you have a copy of, thank God, I love it. That's why we put the screenshots from the emails, John, because we're not asking the public to trust Garrett Ziegler. There's millions of people who don't know who Garrett Ziegler is.
Exactly.
And that's why I didn't put my name on the book. I'm saying, no, don't trust us. We'll put the exhibits in the book and then put 2 or 3 lines explaining what the exhibits are. That's how it ought to be done. That's what the Justice Department should have done. Nobody's asking. So what they did is they put a straw man, simple logical fallacy. They said, everybody who's asking us for the Epstein files or the Epstein list, they're perverts.
Yeah.
They're asking for 12-year-old girls.
They're anti-MAGA. They're anti-America first.
Yeah, that's not what we're asking for. I want every little girl or 19-year-old girl redacted, right? That's not what we're asking for. And I get the third-party witness protection and tampering risks. We get all that. That's why MAGA feels so disrespected right now. And I'm not saying that when this started back in that Sunday night, now 11 days ago, that wasn't Trump's doing. Trump, first of all, Trump doesn't operate word processors, okay? He doesn't even do email. So I'm not saying Trump was there typing that 2-pager. So at the start of this, Trump wasn't responsible for the leaked Axios, but the response to the attacks on that press release have been bad, to say the least. Horrible. And
real quick before you move on there, because you made so many good points, I don't want them to get lost. The people who are watching this are probably saying we're tired of hearing about Epstein. We're tired of hearing about it. I talk about it, Garrett, from the sense of everything you just said. I don't give a shit about the list being released to just show this guy's a scumbag and this guy's a scumbag and this guy's a scumbag. And this is the reason why I'm still talking about it when people say they're not talking about it anymore. I care about it for justice for those people, as everyone who's listening here who's probably tuning out should care about justice for those children who were raped. Now, there's, to my best of my knowledge, there's no statute of limitations on first-degree rape. Second-degree rape, I think it's probably 10 years in most cases. We're told that the last activities around Epstein Island happened possibly around 2017, 2018. So we're still inside the 10 years on that. We're still inside the no statute of limitations. I just want to see people held accountable. I don't want to see just Ghislaine Maxwell sitting in jail as one person when we're told that thousands of children were involved. Because I don't believe for a second that 1,000 children rubbed Jeffrey Epstein's feet alone and that's all that happened, okay? I don't believe that Ghislaine Maxwell pimped out 1,000 children just for Jeffrey Epstein to get a massage. One single man, it's not possible. That's why I'm still talking about this, because I want justice for those kids whose lives are ruined. I want justice for those men who preyed on children. In some cases, you said women. That's why I'm still talking about this. I'm not talking about it because Donald Trump said he would release it. I don't give a shit about that. As you said, the handling has been terrible, and it has. The polling reflects it. I spent 2 hours last night on the phone with Mark Mitchell at 1 o'clock in the morning after he did his show, and he's getting so much hate mail from his polling on this, and he's not skewing the polls. The polls are showing what people believe.
Yes.
And people are calling him unhinged, and he's not unhinged. It's not about what Donald Trump promised or didn't promise. Yes, he didn't come out and promise it. He said he would release it, he didn't. It's about getting justice once and for all in this country for scumbags who have skated by. 2016, John Brennan, Comey, all these people, they skated by. We let them get away with it. 2016, we let Hillary Clinton get away with it. We haven't seen an ounce of justice, Garrett, in this country since his first term. That's what people want. We want justice.
I agree, and it's the first clause to the preamble of our Constitution. Everybody should go back to the basics. The preamble to the Constitution, the very first one, is establish justice, and the J is capitalized. That's the reason for the government. The reason for government is to establish justice. A legitimate, sound government is that at a very practical level, somebody comes over here, steals all my books and my art, I can take it to court, and a governmental entity will get it back from the dude who stole it from me. I'm using a very trite example. I know that. It doesn't even compare to rape. I'm just saying that why have a government if you cannot establish justice?
Yeah.
There is no reason for a established government. First thing they did in the Western frontier, when they were having all these problems with the Indians, with the Mormons, they had to set up a system where the marshals and the sheriffs could get things under control. Otherwise, it's just chaos. One word about the island. I want to focus the audience's mind on just that island for a second. There are a lot of appendages, no pun intended, to this saga, John. There's the townhouse in Manhattan.
Yes.
There's the now destroyed mansion in Palm Beach. There is the
it's destroyed?
infamous. Yeah, it's the new the owner bought it, raised it, thank God, and is building a new home on it. That's what I think should happen.
I'd love to know who bought it, by the way.
Say it again.
I'd love to know who bought it.
I can get that very quickly.
Yeah.
Property records are my bread and butter. But so, and then you have the infamous disgusting ranch in New Mexico, which also needs to be raised. Set that aside. And set aside also the domestic flight logs. Setting aside not for an absolute sense, but just for the sake of argument.
Yeah.
Let's just focus on who visited the island, because there are so many people in the Black Book who have plausible deniability.
Oh.
The Black Book was created by Epstein, and I think it was his contacts, number one, and people who he wanted to ingratiate himself with. So mere appearance, just like mere appearance on the Biden laptop, If you just appear in Hunter's contacts and there's no communication with Hunter, Marco Polo is not going to accuse you of a federal felony because anybody can look up your number with any 2-bit private investigator and put your number in their phone. That is not a crime in and of itself. But the people who went to that island have less plausible deniability than anybody.
Exactly.
So in our communications about this issue, there are a lot of slippery handles for shysters to grab onto. Say, yeah, I rode on his plane from New Jersey to Florida. We talked about science the whole time. There were no girls there. That may be true. And the person could come out of that saying, that guy's really weird. And he was obsessed with science. That's why he gave all that money to Harvard, right? And he was very interested in gene editing and CRISPR and all this stuff. He's a creep. But everybody who was on that plane didn't rape kids.
No.
That's not our argument. I just want the public to focus. Because first of all, it's U.S. jurisdiction, the Virgin Islands. We control it. It's ours. That island, in Trump's own words in 2015, when he was asked about this, he said that island is a cesspool. Just ask Prince Andrew. That's my favorite statement from Trump about this entire saga. It's one of those like Good Morning America shows where he's out on the street. They block off the street. And a bunch of people are behind the wall. I personally like those type of shows because I like live stuff. But Trump is like, yeah, that island was a cesspool. I want to focus on the island because that island is nuts. In that demonic like temple, we can get to the townhouse afterwards. But even everybody who visited that townhouse, John, some of them have plausible deniability.
No, for sure.
Yeah, this creep invited me over to a dinner. And there was 12 people there, and he couldn't stop talking about genetics. And Larry Summers was there, and I never saw him again. There are people who honestly have that story. And to them, I say, well, first of all, you need to go public with it. And if you have, thank you. But that island crushes a lot of plausible deniability because there was no police force within the area. There were a bunch of massage tables, and it was probably completely wired. So if I went to that island, I have a puckered behind right now because that thing, by thing I mean the island, most likely contained tapes of whatever I did there.
Exactly.
So if I visit that island, I have a vested interest in making sure that this thing is suffocated with a pillow and never, our only hope right now, as of July 17th, is that a patriotic FBI agent is willing to get fired and just leak the entire case file. That's what I'm hoping occurs. I know James O'Keefe has asked for that publicly. I think it's not going to come about by asking for it publicly. I think you've got to find out who's on the case file through somebody in the FBI. Like somebody if a reporter really wants to get the case file and get it leaked, they're going to have to ask somebody in the FBI to go into the Sentinel file and get the names of the agents who are assigned to it. And one of those souls is going to have to leak the case file. That's the only way. And which brings us to the project that I wanted to talk about with Marco Polo.
Real quickly,
we're
going to get to that. I want to wrap up with this. We spoke about this memo, which I reiterate this same line.
This press release, yeah.
Press release, yeah.
It makes me, because it's even worse. A memo sounds better.
Yeah, you're right. But
memo.
The third paragraph, first line, and I've read this probably 10 times on this show since it's come out. The systematic review revealed no incriminating, and then in quotations, client list. That is literally just them telling us this is semantics. This is just the words we're using. It's plausible deniability because there may not be a client list per se. Yeah, because there's a log of people for sure.
The pedophile is not going to collate it. Maybe Brian Koberger would, but Epstein is not going to pull out. I'm an old-fashioned guy, right? He's not going to pull out a legal pad, man, and say, on July 17th, 2004, I compromised Ehud Barak, the former prime minister.
Well, he doesn't have to because it's probably all on video somewhere.
Yeah, so he doesn't collate it. That's the FBI's job.
Mm-hmm.
And people like me on the outside, not doing this with the Epstein stuff, but with the Hunter Biden stuff. What do people, the online version's for free, but what do people willingly pay $70 for? Because they know I spent 18 months collating the laptop because his laptop was as disorganized as you would expect any crackhead's laptop to be. So that was my job. The people buy our book because they know that Garrett collated it. That's what we pay around 22 to 25% of our income. And I hate that it's that high. I don't consent to that. But nevertheless, all these billions going to the FBI and they can't collate some material. Well, we didn't find a client list. Yeah. The client list is in 1,000 pieces of a puzzle on the floor. And it's your effing job to pick up the pieces and put them together. What country do these people think they're living in? It's absurd.
You know, that's the conclusion that Mark and I came to last night at the conclusion of our phone call, is that we don't know of one investigation that's taken place. We don't know of one public investigation that's taken place into anybody. I think if you got at least one, people would tame it down a little bit. As we said, it's not about me coming after Trump. I love him. I think everything he's done has been terrific.
Me too.
But it's not about me coming after Trump. It's not about, and that's the other thing, Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones, Michael Flynn. These people aren't anti-Trump. They're not anti-MAGA. They just want truth out there. It doesn't make them bad people. It doesn't extinct them from what they believe in. The two are not intertwined. You could be MAGA and America First and pro-justice. That's what people aren't understanding.
We're pro-justice and pro-truth before we're President Trump and MAGA even. Meaning, I love President Trump and I love MAGA, John, because they, more often than not, especially with compared to the left, comport with justice and truth, right? That's the point. So if there is a lone scenario or multiple scenarios where those two things divert, it's not like I'm going to say Trump is never going to do anything and I'm never going to support him again. It's just on this issue, there is separation between what needs to be done and what the stated position of our president is right now. And as people who have followings, our job is to be adults and say, how can we get those two positions to mesh again?
Yeah.
How can we convince the president that this is really important? And guess what? Everything he's talking about with immigration and trade is important too. But it's other people like Blondie and so many other people, they're hurting the president right now if they don't go to him and say, hey, this has to be fixed.
Yeah.
This has to be a priority.
Yeah.
We cannot kick this anymore.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And like I said, the people are tired of hearing about it. We're all tired of talking about it. It can be fixed very simply. And the commander-in-chief can do that. And we're not anti-Trump. I love the man. We're not anti-MAGA. We all care about America greatly. Just put the pieces together. We're not all turning on President Trump. We're not all against the country or the movement. These are the biggest patriots in this country. General Michael Flynn is one of the greatest patriots in this country. Tucker Carlson has done more to get word out on things crazy that happening in this nation. Got fired from his job at Fox News, making like $20 million a year for putting out word that is unpopular. We're not bad people, okay? Trust President Trump. Don't trust President Trump. We just want the word out there.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Let's move on to something big that you're working on now, which kind of ties into this because I think we need something similar for these documents. Go ahead.
So in May of 2022, our small C3 put out a searchable database of all the emails from the Biden laptop, all 128,000 of them. And this too, John, was material that the FBI had in its possession since December of 2019 and was sitting on it. Okay. And there were all these groups on the right who had the copy of this laptop. What we have done with this free site, BidenLaptopEmails.com, is put them in a searchable database. This is the only thing in the world like this. What I mean by that is when you think of the Anthony Weiner laptop, the Epstein stuff, everything that the federal agencies have buried under the Privacy Act, under witness tampering and all this stuff. This is the only place where it is simple, easy. You can view them all. The only thing that's redacted is genitalia and social security numbers and credit card numbers. That's it. 3 categories. Everything else is there. All the email addresses.
Wow.
We put a 1-paragraph explanation. I'd like to read it real quick. Marco Polo is the entity I lead. Marco Polo presents the 128,000 emails from the Biden laptop, which is a modern Rosetta Stone of white-collar crime under the patina of the Delaware Way. The Delaware Way is this sort of chummy bipartisan corruption. Prior to the discovery of the Rosetta Stone, I got to zoom in a little bit, a number of ancient languages were mere gibberish and hash marks. Similarly, the emails in the Biden laptop illuminated previously convoluted webs of the people you see leading the charge for global governance. Truly, the emails can be considered a translation tool for open source intelligence gathering. I wrote that in 2021, late 2021, when we started building this. We put this out 5 months before our book came out. This was our first big project. It has been revamped. We wrote it in a new program. That's for later.
Okay.
So when we have our next release, you're going to be able to bookmark specific emails so you no longer have to search them each time.
Wow.
And so that's where, so there'll be enhancements to it, which I'm very excited about. And they'll be highlighting features, and that's where the account comes in, because you have to save an account to see which ones you save. So it's all there, 128,000. The emails start in 2008. They go to March 17th of 2019. 11 years of the 46th U.S. president's life and his family's life.
We typed in the search word crack, but I guess he wouldn't be talking about emails on crack. We could talk about the
Venmo. Venmo is a good search because it goes into all of the cocaine, hookers, and pimp payments, because he was stupid enough to pay his hookers in Venmo. So we just harvested all these Venmo profiles, and we have a whole link analysis, meaning within 5 minutes, I'll know who the crack cocaine dealers are to his dealer. So Hunter's buying it at retail price, and his dealer on Venmo is getting it at wholesale. Hilarious stuff. Goodness.
So this is just the emails. This is not the laptop contents, right?
Well, the emails are a part of the laptop contents. So there is about 10,000 unique photos, 1,000 videos. Those are being relaunched right now. We had all the photos up there too with genitalia redacted at BidenLaptopMedia.com, but we're rewriting that in a new programming language, just like we did this one. And why did we do that, John? Very simple. This site is able to be mobile friendly. Our last site was written in PHP. So now if you search it on your iPhone, it automatically adjusts to the size of the screen. And eventually we're going to get an app to where it'll be like, your Apple Mail app.
Yep.
It'll eventually be like you have Hunter's emails on your own phone. It'll be like the Apple Mail app, and you can read his emails on an app on your own iPhone. That's what's coming next. So we have multiple stuff planned. And the whole goal, the thesis of all this is disclosure. Marco Polo is the only group in America to disclose this stuff. Go back to the homepage, because that's for, if you go to the top left there. Yeah. And then search email.
I was going to type in 10% for the big guy, if that's in here.
It is. Just type big guy.
I did. It was so many emails coming up. Let's go back and Let's see, because we've spoken about the 10% email. I was at Fox News at the time that these emails came out, and Tony Bobulinski came out and spoke. And I've spoken to Tony Bobulinski.
Jackie Heinrich said it was all fake.
Jackie Heinrich, who's now married to a man, I think he's like 30 years or 20 years older than her, a congressman. Seems to be the going thing now at Fox News. Brooke Singman, who's their morning anchor, dating Guy Reschenthal, a congressman who recently left his wife. Yeah, Jackie Heinrich, I think he's from Pennsylvania. Jackie Heinrich, another anti-Trumper, is dating or engaged to Brian Fitzpatrick, who we spoke about before the show, voting against President Trump. So, it's I guess it's the going thing over at Fox now. But anyway, this email comes out, 10% for the big guy. Within 5 minutes, I'll never forget, Mike Emanuel was the one who sent out the emails, sending the emails that Tony Bobulinski forwarded. And within 10 minutes, Jackie Heinrich has cleared Joe Biden of any sort of criminal wrongdoing, that he wasn't the big guy. And I, as a production assistant, low-level guy, didn't care about losing my job because I cared about truth and justice.
Yes.
I didn't even tell Lou that I was doing this. I told him after the fact, and he nearly fell off his chair cackling, laughing, telling me that I was crazier than hell, and he was so proud of me. Just crazy that the convolution and conflation that's been behind this whole thing, that nobody ever wanted to acknowledge that Joe Biden is a crook.
Total. And a terrible father. He's probably, about 25% of our presidents have had affairs. We know this through documented evidence. But Joe stands alone in his terrible fatherhood. Our presidents are obviously damned sinners, all of them, as we all are.
Yep.
But Joe, part of his legacy is going to be an absolute shit father. Yeah. Every single child of his is a strung out addict. His 37-year-old daughter said she took probably not appropriate showers with him.
Yep. In a diary. In
a diary that's been confirmed by the Southern District of New York, one of the most liberal courts in the country.
Yep.
So this is absurd. The glorified chambermaid of Jill Biden, Anthony Bernal, was in D.C. yesterday on Capitol Hill, pleading the fifth, as is his right. But if you want to search Anthony Bernal because you were dissatisfied with his Fifth Amendment invocation yesterday, go to our email site. Type in Bernal. There'll be dozens of responses. So this is a window into the swamp. That's what our site provides. It's the only thing offering that right now. If the country is rightfully up in arms about lack of disclosure in one arena, this is it. We're giving it to you for free. And it will require independent research. And we're very proud of it because everybody else is chickened out. Everybody else is saying, oh, we can't release it all. No. No, it's all there. 128,000. We haven't left any email back.
Yeah, I think you do a terrific job, and I applaud you. And I often do when this topic comes up with somebody on the show, because I think you went out on the whim and on the limb to do this,
and pissed a lot of people off in the process, on the left and the right.
You've gotten sued. You were in a lawsuit with the former first son himself, which since was dismissed, not by the judge, but by Hunter asking the judge to dismiss it when he found out that it might go to discovery, and Garrett was going to California next week, not this coming next week.
Yeah, and depose his sugar brother.
Exactly. So, things started to get a little crazy and a little funky, Garrett's been on the log, hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees. It's not an easy business to make enemies like the Biden crime family, Garrett, was it?
No, and just on that lawfare front, we have oral argument next week, the 24th, in Los Angeles. I'll be out there. It's the case that Kevin Morris, his caveman-looking like sugar brother, who gave him $7 million, he sued me for intentional infliction of emotional distress.
Wow.
And we're going to be in the California appellate system. And we're appealing that judge's decision in the Hunter case to the Ninth Circuit Federal Court of Appeals because we want reimbursed for part of our legal fees. So I'm in both appellate systems in California right now. I'm in the Ninth Circuit Federal Court of Appeals and the California State Appellate System.
I mean,
trying to get our legal fees back. There could be a huge windfall for Marco Polo of about $400,000.
How do people donate to you to help you to keep this thing rolling, Garrett?
The site that I want them to remember today is bidenlaptopemails.com. If they go to that site, they can search all 128,000. And on that site, at the very top and the very bottom, the header and footer, you can go click on the words Marco Polo, which is the name of the entity. And that will lead to our main website, which has our press releases, every time I've done an interview, the donate button, everything else. And Biden Laptop Emails is just a project of the nonprofit. We've done a lot of projects. We've done the Boston Brothel John list. We have done directories of every federal agent involved in the Biden investigation that's been publicly named, over 140 people. We like mind mapping. I'm a huge nerd, so we use this German tool called MindMeister, and we've mapped out with their face and their email address and their biographical information every federal official involved in the Biden cover-up.
MindMeister?
MindMeister.
I think you're saying it. It's probably like MindMeister.
Yeah, they have the market leader in mind mapping. I mean, they have the ability to attach PDF documents, URLs, normal text, photos, and we're a very, very loyal, high-paying customer of theirs because we use it every day. You can send the link to other people so they can watch you work at the same time, and they've really taken off on our X page. We've had a lot of people go to our what we call Fed directories because we have the DOJ one, the IRS one, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware, and then the DOJ, FBI, U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware. So
go ahead, Rob.
Well, the last thing I want to say is this isn't going away. Both the Epstein and the BidenLaptopEmails.com site. I don't think Joe is going to be able to get his coveted presidential library. I think he's going to have to settle for a new wing at his prep school's library at Archmere Academy, because I think the public is so disgusted. You know, Hunter just came out on a podcast today, which I'm going to listen to, and said it was the Democrat Party's disloyalty to his father the reason why they lost. Hilarious delusion.
Yeah.
But they're still out there, and my point is they're still out there in the public pitching the virtue of Joe. And I don't think he's going to be able to find the oligarchs to fund this library that he wants to build. Hell, Obama still isn't even in his library because they had diversity contractors and they're like 4 years behind schedule. Hilarious. They couldn't just get some Norwegian firm. They had to have a certain number of blacks build the library, and it's 4 years late and over budget.
Oh my goodness, man! That was the one I think Trump cut funding for. It's so absurd. Before we wrap up, it's funny, we were talking before the show about that Idaho case.
Yes.
I'm just going to give you something that just came literally moments ago. Idaho judge has lifted a sweeping gag order in the Brian Kohlberger quadruple murder case. So we might finally find out what exactly happened. I've spoken about it on this show before, and as I told you before the show, truly sickening knowing what went on, and that this guy was given such a sweetheart deal. He should be dead right now.
He should be dead. I'll be surprised if one of the dads doesn't take it into their own hands. I just, if my little girl were murdered like that, I don't know how I know the entire script of The Godfather, and one of my favorite scenes of The Godfather is when that mortician comes to him and talks about his daughter getting the crap beat out of her by her then boyfriend, right? And he says he went to the court hearing and that they were found guilty, but the guys who did the assault got a suspended sentence. Remember this quote from Godfather Part 1? Yes. He's like, they suspended the sentence. Yep. I sat there like a fool. And he also says that he wants that it was a great line back and forth. He said that he wants the guy to die. And Don Corleone says that that's not justice. Your daughter's still alive. And it's which I agree with.
Yeah.
Right. But justice would require Kohlberger to die, not be murdered. Kohlberger's the murder. Killing somebody who murdered somebody is not murder. Murder is a biblical term. It's in our commandments. Nobody should commit murder, but killing is a different matter. People get killed all the time justly in war and everything else. And I don't believe, just where I come from and how my family is, and I bring up that scene in The Godfather because everybody's seen it because it's such an epic classic.
Yeah.
That I don't know how you just let him sit in prison. And some like modern man would say, well, he took a plea deal.
Yeah.
And where my dad, God love him, and everybody that I grew up with say, I don't care.
Yeah.
Plea deal or not. It's like what happened to that. Remember that guy who this is really close to the nerve center, John, but remember that guy who killed the girl down in Georgia and he pinned it on the black guy, Leo Frank. Leo Frank was one of the reasons why the ADL started. They didn't call it the ADL at first, but the big thing is that he got exonerated or whatever, and they took him out of prison and hung him. And I take no position on that. Okay. All I'm saying is that historically, when the state has failed to do what the constituents believe is the just route, there's only so much of that the public can take. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And where eventually somebody's going to get taken out of prison and get their face beat in.
Yeah, for sure.
And I just don't know how the fathers of that allow Kohberger to stay alive for the next 60 years.
Yeah, I don't know. I could say I've never been in the prison system.
Can I bring up one more movie scene real quick? Because I'm into cinema. The bar scene in Inglourious Bastards.
I've never seen that. I've been told I'm an idiot for not seeing it. But
if you don't, I can understand people not watching the whole movie because it is long or whatever. But if you don't watch the whole Inglourious Bastards, just watch the bar scene. And one of the scenes is it's an SS officer talking to a fake Allied force or a fake Axis officer who's really from the Allies, and he said that no matter what happens, you and I are not leaving this place alive. I love that. I love that phrase because, and of course they don't. They have a shoot off, and everybody dies in the room except one person. But I love that. I love that certainty of spirit from the German officer, meaning I don't care. I don't care if I don't live, you are not walking out of here. That makes your hair stand up. And I think that the victims, fathers of Kohberger have every right in the world.
Something may or may not happen. It brings back memories of being a young kid in college and getting into bar arguments and going up against 10 guys and saying, "Oh, I may get beat up, but I'm taking 2 or 3 with me."
Yes. Yeah. They're thinking, do I want to stay involved in this? Yeah. Do I want to stay involved in this? I don't, there's a 20 to 30% chance I'm going to get my nose broken.
Right. There's 5 of you. Yeah. 2/3. Yeah. Garrett, it's always a delight to talk to you. The website is BidenLaptopEmails.com, BidenLaptopEmails.com. Garrett Ziegler, come back soon. We look forward to it.
Godspeed.
Thanks to Garrett Ziegler, folks, and thank you all for being with us today here on the Great America Show. We hope to see you back here tomorrow for the Great America Show. We have a very special show lined up for you. Tomorrow is the 1-year passing of my best friend, a man who I follow in his footsteps every single day, the great Lou Dobbs. So we have a very special show lined up for you tomorrow. We hope you'll join us for that. Until then, folks, may God bless you, may God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Have a terrific night, everybody. We hope to see you back here tomorrow.